How's it going? This is Cyphus. This is the third tutorial in the series that I'm doing. This particular tutorial is going to follow the second tutorial I released. The second one was the one where I taught you how to generate a raw file from a blank canvas in Photoshop. Okay, in this one, we're going to instead of work with the large land masses, we're going to start creating some mountain ranges, some small hills, stuff like that. Okay, so the biggest thing you need to keep in mind when you're doing this is anti-aliasing is not your friend. Okay, so the act of blending edges from 0 to 2, from black to white or white to black, whatever, is no good. It's going to give you all sorts of anomalies within the terrain editor, and you're going to spend more time trying to fix them and keeping the integrity of your shapes than you can waste more time doing that than it is just come and fix it. To give you an example, I am going to draw. Actually, I can get rid of these. I tested this out because I was having some issues with the train editor not liking, um, not getting along with some things that I was doing, and I just need to make sure I was on the right path. But anyways, so I'm going to reset my palette, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about anti-aliasing. Okay, and then fill it in. Okay, see all the way around the edges where it's blurred. Okay, that's neat and everything. If we're way out here, wow, it looks super sharp, right? But in the, with in the reality of things, it's not needed. It's the train editor will eat you apart when you try to import this because all that those all translate into altitude. You know what I mean? Or elevation. So you have a part down here that's like 256 feet off the ground, and then over here you have like 37,000 feet. You know what I mean? So quickest way to get rid of that is go to the magic wand tool, select the shape, and if you select inside the shape itself, you're going to contract up to 2 pixels, right? Because that's how far, if you look, that's how many pixels I have to pull in, right? So let's try 2 pixels. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to inverse the selection and hit delete. And there you go. No more anti-aliasing. Okay. So anyways, so now that you know that, remember anti-aliasing is not your friend with the terrain editor. Okay. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to be drawing lines and then using gradients to kind of form hills and mountains and valleys if you wanted to, depending on what you were doing. Okay, so remember when I talked about 8 pixels being 1 mile? This is really where it comes into play. When you're starting to do these micro, not good, I won't call them micro, but these geo features, the larger geo features. Okay, so when down here on your palette, you got foreground and you got background. Your foreground is always going to be the highest elevation that you want, and of course the lowest should always match the elevation that you have set for your base. So I know in this one my base is 1, right? 256 feet. And the reason why that is because Dale does not want elevation below 20 feet. And when you're hand painting, you can only go down to 256, or well, you can't go down to 0, but then that's kind of counterproductive, right? So um, I start at 256 feet. Now you can use gradients to blend from 0 on up, and you'd be all right. But that's a different tutorial because then we're dealing with like edge blending and trying to get rid of anti-aliasing and all that around the gradient. So for this one, we're just going to start at 256 feet, and we're going to work our way up. So remember that neat little elevation calculation stuff I told you about earlier? This is where it really comes into play. So I know that I want a medium-sized mountain, right? So typically your mountains are going to run anywhere between, I'd say, 1,800 and like say 6,000 feet. Good generalized area, right? So if I want 6,000 feet, I can take 6,000 and divide it by 256. should be 23, right? So let's try that. 23 times 256, it'd be 5 and some change. So, right? Yeah. Make sure I remember the number. Yeah, 23. Okay, so I'm going to want 23 here for all three. And this is going to be, like I said, the absolute tallest, and the background is going to be the flat plane. Okay, so I'm going to grab my pencil tool, and I want this one to be a half a mile. Okay, so if I go half a mile and I draw straight-ish, not really straight anymore, up to center. Did I do that right? Yeah, I drew that on the wrong plane. My bad. Let me go to the next one. Make sure you do it on a new layer, and you'll see here why here in a minute. Oops. Okay, so there we go. So we have the one mountain, and we'll go ahead and split it off down here. Okay. And now we're going to add a layer style to it. Okay, we're going to stroke it, and we're going to use a shape burst. And the reason being is a shape burst is going to follow whatever shape you draw in there. You could draw, I don't know, you can write the entire alphabet out there. And when you use the shape burst, if as long as they're all connected or in that layer, and you write the alphabet out there, it's gonna the gradient is going to follow every single letter, right? So you can do a shape burst, but select your gradient, but you're always going to want to reset your gradient, because if you don't, it's going to hold on to the gradient that you last used in the stroke style. Okay, so reset your gradient, and then double check your numbers. So this is going to be the absolute high over here on the left hand side at 23, and down here on the right hand side is the absolute low, which is going to be at 1. I'm going to hit OK. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and export this as a raw file. Save as raw file. Hit OK. Go to IBM PC. Open this up. Now let's see if this works. It's probably going to throw a fit. It's been throwing a fit for the last couple days. I've been able to get to work like 2 or 3 times. Let's see if it works. Bam, there it is. Okay, so you see that what we just did just showed up. Okay, so we see at the top here, down here, we're at 2,700 feet. So yeah, 2,700 feet ish. And remember when I told you that the altitudes or the feet in elevation are approximates when you're dealing with color conversion. So you do the best that you can, get in the ballpark where you want to go, or what you want to, the altitude you want to get. Then you can always come in here and you can reset it. So if I wanted something taller, I can just always raise and lower the hill. Okay. One of the neat things about this too is this gives you the opportunity when you're in here to, instead of having to worry about okay, I'll show you just a second. I'll just show you. It'll be easier. Instead of uh, trying to plan everything out in the actual terrain editor, you can do it from a topographical perspective and kind of draw things out. You know what I mean? And like that, or if I wanted, say, I wanted a shelf, like a plateau. So go 16, right? And then, okay, you see how that's all dithering out there? We'll fix that in a second. Right? And then say I wanted to add another layer, but then I wanted to go just a little bit higher, so I'll go 39. And then I'm going to narrow that down to a mile. What I'm going to do, oops, and I'm going to go ahead and stroke that out. Oops. Resetting my gradient, and then drawing that out. And you see where the mess up is on this already, right? Okay, so you see the dark side on it. The dark side on that needs to be the highest point on this one. So that's actually fairly easy to fix because we were at what, 23? So the low point is going to be 0, it's going to be 23. Oops, hit OK. Right, now I want to get rid of that anti-aliasing. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select outside of it. Yeah, fool. Okay, I want to delete that, rasterize this layer, rasterize this one. Okay, so this one I want to bring in just a little bit. So same principle as before. I want to modify it. I want to contract it, and I want to go probably 2. Oops, wrong way. 2, and then delete it. Okay, kind of blends it in a little bit, and go down to the bottom one, do the same thing. And this one I'm going to contract. Say 2. And select inverse, so I don't delete the whole thing. There. Now all of my anti-aliasing is gone. Okay, and that's what I'm left with. Now there are going to be some low points I'm going to have to fix, and I can fix those in here. I just don't feel like doing it right now. Okay. So, actually, you know what? I can fix those real quick. Where are you at? Okay, we'll leave it at that. Now, when I import this in, we should have a very, very different looking terrain. And it's probably going to throw a fit because I may have went too advanced on it. Who knows? We'll see what the terrain editor does. Okay, file, import sign hot map, and see what happens. Okay, so there are some anomalies still left in there, but I'm kind of glad you're seeing this. So this is what anti-aliasing does. And it's throwing a fit right now, but so you see these right here, these little guys, that's like 6. So we can go in here, let's get rid of this one. So it's going to be a lot of trial and error to get things right, to get things where they fit. I'm missing something somewhere, but I don't really see it. I have to get in there and look closer, but I feel like doing it right now. Okay, so it was that second plateau layer. But there you go, we're at 4,000 feet, and see it tapers off all the way down to 324. So with this, I'm not sure what's going on there, but so with this is a good base. So if I want to, I can raise and lower it, and kind of smooth things out a little bit and draw things. And so it's a good way to get started with your main features. That error that I got before is just an overlook on something on my part. So, but anyways, thanks for watching, and I'm hoping this really is helping some people. I know it's probably not the best methods out there, but you know, they work. So, you know, if they work, they work. Anyways, thanks for watching.